And the Bucs hope that this will be their first victory ever.
We have a great area, a growing area, in Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakeland, and Winnehaven, and even Wachoo. Over 2 million fans, and it's the fastest growing area in the United States.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, live from Tampa Stadium. For the first time ever in a regular season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers enter this stadium with numbers in both the win and loss columns. The Buccaneers came onto the field to a wild standing ovation from the some 60,000-plus fans at Tampa Stadium. They did not introduce any players individually. The PA announcer said, ladies and gentlemen, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Welcome to San Diego, California, Super Bowl 37. It is Tampa Bay versus the Oakland Raiders.
Third down, 18, dropping Gannon, looking Gannon, throws up the middle, heads intercepted at the 40, Derek Brooks 30, Brooks to the 25, 20, Derek Brooks all the way, there it is, the dagger's in, we're gonna win the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady signing with the Tampa Bay Bucs tomorrow. Holy hell.
Everyone always says, why the Bucs, man? Why do you choose the Bucs? And it was a no-brainer.
Brady has all kinds of time, throws toward the end zone. It is a caught ball. Touchdown, Tampa Bay, Mike Evans. 8 seconds, 7 seconds. Brady to throw, throws a deep pass downfield. Got Scotty Miller in the open, makes the catch. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
Super Bowl 55 will be underway at Raymond James Stadium. Here's the snap out of the gun. Play action fake pass to Gronkowski. He's going to score a touchdown. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Holy guacamole. Bucs are the Super Bowl champs. They can't stop the clock. And there the cannons go. Fire them. Keep on firing them. Keep on firing them.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the 48-yard line. Second down, 13. Brady lobbed one downfield. Caught ball by Gronkowski inside the 20 to the 15-10. Gronkowski to the 5 to the 4-yard line. Holy guacamole.
Here's the snap. Pressure coming from the outside. Brady throws a pass. Caught ball first out of the 50. Outside the numbers 40 to the 30-yard line. To the 25. And Perriman. Bashaud Perriman. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Bucs win in overtime.
This is the Big Nasty. Yeah, Big Nasty. Hall of Fame Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, baby.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
Cannon Fire Podcast, brother. You ain't listening, and you're missing out. Woo!
And there the cannons go. Fire them. Keep on firing them. Keep on firing them.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Live on YouTube today for episode 251. I'm your host, as always, Rhett Matthew, joined alongside me, my good buddy and co-host, the Philly Bucs fan himself, Mr. Evan Wanish. And here we are, folks. A podcast that, unfortunately, we never thought we'd have to make, but here we are. After 22 extraordinary seasons in the NFL, Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady is planning to announce his retirement. Now, there are a couple of technicalities. I wouldn't hold out too much hope for him coming back to play another season. We're going to talk about those and much more, which is exactly why we're live today. But welcome back to the show. Glad to have you guys here. Evan, how you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough day. As a, not just a person who covers the Bucs and roots for the Bucs. It's, people know that Tom Brady has been, well, some people know, but Tom Brady has been my favorite football player, not just quarterback, ever since I started watching the sport of football. And, obviously you knew this day was coming, right? Not everything lasts forever. But it definitely sucks. And it's to me, it was, we talked, we talked about this before we recorded, but we were talking 2-3 weeks ago, and it really seemed like both of us are pretty confident that, he was going to return, right? He was going to return for a third and likely final season. But, that was before anybody, I think, had really even talked to Tom, and I don't think he was even really thinking about it. And, he's given a lot to the game of football, and now it's time for him to give back to his family. And, just grateful for the 2 years that he gave us. It's one of them, them cliche things, right? Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. People got to relive, not relive, but people got to live in a world where Tom Brady was a Buccaneer. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl and then had to follow that up with an MVP type season. It's a tough day, but it's a day where just grateful, I think, is the word to use. Not bitter, not sad, just grateful. Because at the end of the day, the Keeter's retiring and the Bucs have to fill that void, but the Bucs have a second Lombardi because of him. And they got their first home playoff win because of him. And, it's the first division title since 2007 because of him. So I think you just be grateful. And we'll get into all of it here.
Yeah. And I mean, Tom Brady leaves behind an absolutely incredible career. It cannot be said enough. One of the best quarterbacks to ever step on the football field. I mean, I don't think there's much of a discussion who is the greatest of all time. And this transcends just football. I think this conversation transcends into all of sports, right? Tom Brady is in the territory of the greatest athletes of all time. What he did for not only the NFL, what he did for the Bucs, we'll talk about that here in a second, but Tom Brady leaves behind 7 Super Bowl rings, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 3 league MVPs, 22 incredible seasons, and as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starter, he was 29-10. That also includes a Super Bowl championship. It's important for a lot of people to remember that Tom Brady chose to play for the Bucs, and that's something that I think we'll remember about his career forever, because you kind of have to, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the only team that Tom Brady ever chose to play for. He took a look at 31 rosters in the NFL, and he decided that Tampa Bay likely gave him the best chances to win a Super Bowl, and they get it done ahead of schedule, right? They get it done the first year. And it's funny because we talked before the podcast. You and I discussed that, man, it's crazy that in March it'll be 2 years since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Tom Brady, but it feels like you and I did that podcast 2 weeks ago. And then, of course, we followed it up with Rob Gronkowski coming to Tampa. And that's an entirely different discussion that we'll have another day, because today it's about Tom. But, I mean, time flies. And just like you said, all you can do is really be grateful, because Tom Brady, what he's done for this organization, what he's done for the city of Tampa, I mean, in just his short time being here, just through playing quarterback, he has changed the way that people not only look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the entire city of Tampa. The culture has changed, and I'm incredibly grateful that Tom Brady was here to, in my opinion, put out some of his best football, because it's not like he slowed down after he turned 40 years old. The guy still has a legit chance at winning the MVP this season, and that would be more than a perfect way to go out, but we just have to wait and see. But yeah, just grateful.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people in the chat. Tom Brady himself has not confirmed this. That is true. Okay. Tom Brady himself has not come out and said this. However, Jeff Darlington, who has been really plugged in with Brady, and Adam Schefter, they were the first ones to say it, right? Jason Lockenfor had a report out yesterday that was Brady, could make the decision here soon, whatever. That wasn't a definite thing. Jeff Darlington and Adam Schefter, 2 of the most credible people, right, when it comes to sports, they said he's retiring. Right. I think the speculation begins when TB12 Sports puts out a tweet thanking him, and then that tweet's deleted. Now, Michael Silver, who used to be with NFL Network, is now with Bally Sports. He reported now that Tom Brady contacted Jason Light and told him he has not yet made a final decision on retirement. Light is respecting Brady's process and waiting for a definite answer whenever that comes from the QB. To me, look, guys, you can hold out hope all you want. To me, this seems like Tom Brady is wanting to announce this himself. It sounds like right now he's probably not too happy with however that leaked. And this is something that he wants to announce himself, because he wasn't able to tell the team, and he wasn't able to tell his teammates, because apparently everybody says, well, the Bucs don't know, right? That was the report, right? No, Bruce Arians doesn't know. But I just think he wants to be the one to say, I'm done. I don't think he wants it to be, have Twitter have it first. And I do think you're going to get that sooner rather than later, that he says he's done. So you can hold out a little bit of hope all you want, but it's just, to me, that's how I read the situation. It's Brady probably not too happy that it leaked, and it's something that he wanted to let the Bucs know and let his teammates know before he officially posted it. Nobody knew that he was leaving New England. He posted that he was leaving New England, and that's when it was, that didn't leak. He posted that. So I do think he's probably not too happy right now, and I think that's all this is.
Yeah, and even when addressing his potential retirement before, Tom Brady has always followed along the lines of, I never want it to take away from the sport of football, right? Like, we are less than 3 weeks away from the biggest game of the year in Super Bowl 56. Tom Brady doesn't want his retirement announcement to overshadow that. So in my opinion, it seems more than likely he was just wanting to wait until after the season was over. But yeah, just like you said, when Bruce Arians and those guys were asked about it in the organization, the last that they had heard was that he hadn't made up his mind yet. Here is the official statement from Brady's agent, Don Yee. Quote, I understand the advanced speculation about Tom's future. Without getting into the accuracy or inaccuracy of what's being reported, Tom will be the only person to express his plans with complete accuracy. He knows the realities of the football business and planning calendar as well as anybody, so that should be soon. I mean, that's where it is right now. We haven't gotten much more of an update from that point, and it seems like the next update you're going to get is going to be from Tom Brady himself. But the assumption around a lot of people right now, the NFL posted it, Adam Schefter, Jeff Darlington, these guys are almost sticking their necks out to say that Tom Brady is planning to retire from the NFL. And I still think that's the case.
This is something, if Brady says I'm coming back, that's something that gets people fired.
Yeah, it really is.
Like that's something that gets a guy, Jeff Darlington, fired. Schefter may just be able to kind of resign, but that's serious. Like, this is one of the biggest retirements in the history of sports. It's up there with, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, like, it's up there, you can't get this wrong. So, and they weren't saying, maybe retire. They're saying he's retiring. So Tom Curran, who is a Patriots insider for NBC Sports Boston, has said that at the moment, Tom Brady is out of the country and plans to be abroad next week as well. While he may intend to retire, it seems like a final decision hasn't been rendered or articulated. So this isn't exactly at ease on the Brady front, but stand down for now. I just, to me, it just signals that he probably wants it. Now, I don't know, it's obviously his plans, but I'm assuming he wanted to be next week, out of the country, relaxing, and then come back the week after that, which would probably, the week after the Super Bowl, and then announce it. That's what I would guess his ideal thing would be. But, he may have to come out early now. Who knows?
And it's funny too, because if there's anything that fits the uncertainty of this Buccaneers offseason so far, it is Tom Brady maybe or maybe not announcing his retirement. Because, a little over a week ago, we put out a video with our buddy James saying that the Jacksonville Jaguars had hired Byron Leftwich as their next head coach, and that official announcement has not yet been made. So it really seems like when news comes out, there's generally a holdup of about 3 to 4 days. So I guess, just like that Byron situation, we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it would be a shock to me if he were to come back at this point.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, not Byron Leftwich. I still believe Byron Leftwich is
Jaguars head coach. It wouldn't be as big of a shock, but it would still be a shock if Byron Leftwich doesn't end up the head coach of the Jags by the end of all of this. Because just a quick update for people not in the know, the last time we talked about it was on that video with James. Since then, it seems like there's a battle for leverage between the Jags and Byron Leftwich. Essentially, Leftwich does not want them to hang on to their GM. He wants them to hire a guy from Arizona. And that's kind of the runaround there.
Yeah, that's the struggle right there. So, obviously, there's going to be a lot of time to talk about the options, right? And what's next. There's going to be a ton of time to talk about that. And, we'll go over them. Right. We will go over the free agents. We'll go over the trades. I will say, trades seem much more appealing because if you look at the free agents list, it's not like the one year, right, where Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, all these guys were free agents. It's not like that. So, it's, like I said, it's a day that, everybody knew was coming, right? Everybody knew that one day it was coming. I just think what hurts so much is that people didn't realize that it was going to be now. And so I basically had, I had said last night to you, like, I was sort of leaning this way now. I had always thought that he's coming back. Even after the Rams game and after that podcast, I was like, I still think he's coming back. But now I started to lean, that way towards retirement. And the one quote from the podcast that really had me leaning that way was what he said about a farewell tour.
Yeah.
About how he didn't want a farewell tour. It would be a distraction. If Tom Brady came back in 2022, no matter what he says, unless he comes out and says, hey, guess what? I'm 2022 and I'm 2023. Like I'm there. Like, unless he comes out and says that, everybody, no matter what he says, everybody is going to know that it's a farewell tour. He can deny it up and down, but he can not acknowledge it a single time. Everybody's going to know. So that would be a distraction. This case, everybody thought he'd come back for 1 year and nobody realized it was his final game. So I do think that, that's what he wanted. And I think it makes a lot of sense. As a guy who didn't want the distraction, didn't want the farewell tour, there wasn't a farewell tour there, right? Like there wasn't a farewell tour thing. So it's like I said, it sucks. It really does. Not just as, like I said, a person who roots for the Bucs, but a person who, is a big Tom Brady fan. It does suck. It really does. And like I said, we'll have plenty of time. We get it, right? Well, who's the next? Rodgers, Wilson, this guy. We have plenty of time to talk about. Trust me, we have plenty of time to talk about all that stuff. But I know that there's going to be some people holding out hope. I get it, right? Like, I get it. I just think I already gave my read on the situation, but for people just joining now, to me, it seems like Brady, this is something he wants to announce himself. And, and it'll be interesting to see how this offseason unfolds now.
Yeah, it definitely will. When you talk about the impact that Tom Brady has had, not just for the Bucs, not just for the New England Patriots, where he spent 20 seasons and got 6 Super Bowls, but the NFL in general, Evan, you nor I have ever watched an NFL game without Tom Brady being in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our viewers, more than likely, have never watched an NFL game without Tom Brady being in the league in some way, shape, or form, whether he's injured, playing, winning MVP, or winning a damn Super Bowl. Tom Brady has always been around. He's always been the embodiment of football. For a long time, he was the guy people love to hate. And then he came to Tampa. We were blessed with the gift of Tampa Tom. And of course, the rest is history. Now, we'll take a look here without saying too much about potential candidates. I did want to have a conversation for the real Buccaneer fans, the people who will definitely be here for many more years to come. But it seems like the general assumption from most of the casuals who only watch the Bucs for Tom Brady is that the Buccaneers are automatically, we're back to the basement now. We are a bad team. Just because Tom Brady has left and potentially Rob Gronkowski coming behind him, the Bucs are just, up a river without an oar, or whatever, however the saying goes. You know what I'm saying. But basically, people think the Bucs suck right now. And in my opinion, this Bucs team is still just one quarterback away from being able to...
They're definitely not as good.
They're definitely not as good, but you can't say the Bucs are not just one quarterback away from being able to compete.
Well, 3-14,
yeah,
there it is.
Yeah. They're winning 5 wins next year max. I mean,
that's if they're lucky.
I mean, you could still sign Chris Godwin. You could sign.
You can sign whoever you want. It doesn't matter. There's there's gonna be options. There's the fact is, this roster still is talented. Will they be as good? Probably not. Tom Brady was arguably the best quarterback in the NFL this year. No matter who they bring in. Even an Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if they'll be as good because Tom Brady to me was better than Aaron Rodgers. I know it's a little bit biased, but to me, Tom Brady was better than Aaron Rodgers. So of course,
what do you mean? You've only got your Tom Brady jersey on and your TB12 hat. I know. Where is this opinion coming from?
I know. I wear the TB12 hat in pretty much every episode. And also people of the podcast, it's rare and it's a special occasion when I am wearing a jersey.
Yeah, because Evan's not a jersey guy.
This is the pewter one. This is a pretty nice one. Yeah, I mean, they're like you said, the options. James with the $5 super chat. Thank you very much.
You got to
James.
smile through the pain and donate to the Wendy's Fund. Thank you so much, my
That's
friend.
right. Yeah, that's the best way I know how to cope with it. Just get Wendy's. Just buy a bunch of Wendy's, whatever you need. Yeah, like I said, it's there's options, but yeah, the Bucs team is still like really good. Of course, you go out and if you try to rely on Blaine Gabbert, yeah, you're probably not going to be very good. But like, for a quarterback to come in here and play, like, will they be as good? No, but like, the Bucs can still be a good team. The NFC South, the Saints, I think, will be solid. Do the Falcons or Panthers scare anybody? Like, no, like the NFC South is still there for the taking. So, I still think there's definitely, a way, for the Bucs to not, just because they lost an important piece here doesn't mean, does Tom Brady retiring? Does that mean, Mike Evans is gone, Chris Godwin's gone, Levante David's gone, Shaq Barrett's gone, everybody, the whole offensive line's gone? Like, no, like it doesn't mean that. There's still a talented roster here, and yeah, it's definitely sucks, but there's a few things in the chat. Doesn't Brady carry a big cap hit? I believe he's on the books for around 26 million. But if he does retire, what the Bucs can do is they can defer that to try and save some money here. Brad Spielberger of PFF, who's really good, like he's a cap guy. He had put out a tweet earlier and said that the Bucs can basically do something similar that the Saints did with Drew Brees. Buccaneers will presumably process Brady's retirement after June 1st, just like the Saints did with Drew Brees. The first order of business is dropping his $8.925 million salary down to the vet minimum of $1.12 million. Then have to carry on the roster until June 2nd. It'll save them $12 million on the 2022 cap. So, I don't think, it can be spread out. It can be spread out, and it doesn't mean, the Bucs are in cap hell now. Like, no, it doesn't mean that. But they're gonna have, while they get cap space, they're still gonna have a glaring hole quarterback. So, it'll be a very, very interesting offseason. Perhaps even more interesting than the offseason that landed them Tom Brady. Honestly. Like what's next after Brady is very interesting, right? I think that's even more potentially interesting than them even landing Tom Brady in the first place. So we'll have to wait and see.
So to kind of fuel the flames here of, the Bucs potentially going after a free agent quarterback or trading for somebody, because like we said, that free agent list isn't super appealing. But if the Bucs go that route and they're looking for a veteran quarterback, I think something else that just is an important reminder in this conversation. Bruce Arians does not like rookie quarterbacks. I mean, it's not like he's ever come out and directly said that himself. I'm sure he said plenty of things that would make you think he said that, but I just think it makes sense. You also look at the situation that Bruce Arians is in. The guy has said that he plans to coach until he literally cannot. He's confirmed to the Bucs he's going to be back next season. I'll be honest, his attitude about it makes me feel confident about beyond the 2022 season as well, depending on what the Bucs are able to put together next season. But I mean, when you are Bruce Arians and you're potentially losing an offensive coordinator, now is the last time that you're going to want to turn to Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert, because you have to group both of those guys together. Because if one of them is starting a game for the Buccaneers next season, I have to believe that at some point in the season, the other one will be starting some games for Tampa Bay as well. So I know Bruce has said before he's comfortable with the depth that the Bucs have at quarterback. That was a formality, folks. He isn't going to say anything to lead, Kyle Trask to believe he's not the future of the franchise, because that's just not what head coaches do in PR, unless you're Mike Zimmer talking about Kellen Mond in Minnesota. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Evan?
Well, James with the $1.99 super chat now. He just the gift of Gabbert. He says JK, maybe Teddy B. Yeah, he wants us to enjoy some Wendy's, man.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, Teddy B, he's meaning Teddy Bridgewater, as you know, Teddy Bridgewater is a free agent, scheduled to be a free agent. And he was somebody that the Bucs had on their radar when they targeted Tom Brady. Tom Brady was plan A, and some believe that Teddy Bridgewater was plan B. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think the shine has worn off of Teddy Bridgewater from a lot of NFL teams. I think he kind of had his shot and didn't really do much with it. But yeah, they're not. I would be pretty surprised. I think there's more of a shot they give Gabbert, a chance than Kyle Trask. I can't see Kyle Trask starting, and I also can't see them drafting a rookie quarterback, in the first round or anything. Like, I don't see that. So it's going to be a veteran, I think. And depending on who that veteran is, could it be a free agent? Sure. Like, it could, who knows? Right. I mean, there's a guy, down Louisiana that's a free agent. And
I wasn't referring to that guy. I was referring to the other guy. I was giving you the look about the other guy because, I mean, let's face it. Like we said, we're going to put out more content further on in the week talking about potential replacements.
By the way, I am 100% kidding, by the way.
Yeah. Let's
make
that clear as well.
An important distinction that doesn't happen in sports, folks. Okay.
We'll obviously put out more content, keeping you guys updated on potential replacements. But let's just have fun with one of them, because the hottest name in the NFL right now for teams in the quarterback market is Aaron Rodgers. Do I think there's any chance Aaron Rodgers comes to play to Tampa in 2022? No.
Tom Brady played for the Bucs, so I'll give him a sliver.
Okay. Well, like there 2%. was a point where before the release of Jameis Winston, we were floating around the idea of the Buccaneers signing Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody expected Tom Brady to retire when he did. If it's official, we still have yet to find that out as well. We'll update you, of course, the more that we find out. But I mean, come on, dude. That'd be a hell of a lot of fun. But just for the people who are curious, it seems like it's 5 to 10% chance of something like that happening.
I would say even less, because it's not as simple. If Rodgers was a free agent, then sure, maybe.
Yeah,
it's not that simple. You have to trade for Aaron Rodgers, and the reason I think this is going to get people in a frenzy, but I think a guy like Russell Wilson would be more likely.
No, I agree.
I'm not saying they're going to go after Russell Wilson. I'm just saying he'd be more likely, because to me, go ahead real quick before I get.
I was just going to group him into the conversation. I wanted to kind of go this whole show without saying the candidates, but just a couple. I think realistically, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson seem like more realistic options than Aaron Rodgers. If I had to rank those guys,
there's tiers. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Are the Green Bay Packers really going to trade the two-time, the back-to-back MVP winner, likely MVP winner, even if he doesn't, even if I think Brady deserves it more, are they really going to trade him to the Bucs?
To be the replacement for the quarterback that just beat them in the NFC Championship game a year ago.
Are they really going to trade him to the Bucs? Like, I don't think so. I really don't think so. So, and also, that means you're giving up multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, and possibly, if Rodgers is hell-bent on playing with Devontae Adams, okay, are you saying goodbye to Chris Godwin or Mike Evans then? That's a possibility.
Yeah, Devontae Adams, a guy who came out this week, said he wants $30 million a year to play in the NFL, and the Bucs have also made it clear that re-signing Chris Godwin seems to be their number one priority this offseason.
Of course. Yeah, for sure. And, we've talked about Russell Wilson, Derek Carr. Obviously, there's tiers, right? Derek Carr is the most likely, even though I'm not sure he'll be available, right? If he's available, I think he becomes pretty likely. That's not sourced or anything, but I'm not even sure if he's available. And Russell Wilson, could be a guy they look to. Now, Russell Wilson would also, he would also require a lot of draft picks, right? He requiring a lot of draft picks, and it's a 33-year-old quarterback, it's just, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, to kind of add on to what you said, Russell Wilson, 30 plus. I mean, can you win with a quarterback who's over 30 years old? Yes, you can. The Rams are doing it right now.
They just won with a 43-year-old quarterback.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The argument is that, yes, they just won the Super Bowl with a 43-year-old quarterback. The guy turned 44, and maybe he's going to win MVP this season. But there's also a very big difference between a 44-year-old Tom Brady and a 32-year-old Russell Wilson, who has been getting his ass beat behind a non-existent Seattle O-line for plenty of years.
I know a place where there's a good offensive line.
I do know a place where there's a good offensive line, but in the play style of Russell Wilson, does that equate to longevity in the NFL? Because he is a very different style of quarterback than Tom Brady is.
Yeah, and that's going to be the question, right? And like I said, we will have plenty of time to talk about that. We will have plenty of time. I don't even know if the Seahawks are going to trade Wilson. I don't know, right? But we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that. That'll be a whole separate podcast, whole separate video. We'll discuss even more options that we just listed there. We'll discuss them all. We'll discuss the guys that are in trade rumors, that are free agents. We will discuss it. But right now we are running with the information that we know. And I just don't think the issue is that I can't see Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington both being wrong. Like I said, I just think this is the Bucks. Well, I should say this is Brady just wanting to announce it himself. I don't think Brady wanted to announce it right now. I don't think he wanted to announce it the Saturday before the NFC and AFC championship games. It just I don't believe so.
It's Gasparilla, right?
Yeah,
it's also Gasparilla. If you are a Tampa native, happy Gasparilla to you. Sorry we had to bring you some bad news on a city holiday today.
Don't blame us.
Yeah. Taylor Jenkins, our buddy Grizz, had a great tweet he put out today. He's like, man, that's really something that Tom Brady's retirement leaks on Gasparilla, 2:30 p.m. on a Saturday, where it's a citywide holiday and half of the population already has their brains turned off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I do see the tweet in the chat. Like we've talked about it. Tom Brady's called Jason Light to inform he's not made a decision. That doesn't mean Tom Brady's in. Like it's still very much leaning that he is going to retire. Like I fully believe that. It's just he hasn't made a decision, and I think honestly he has. Like I think it's just he doesn't want it to leak and be announced that way. He didn't want, Mike Evans is posting about it, Chris Godwin's posting about it. He didn't want his teammates to find out through Twitter.
Yeah,
like he didn't want the Patriots had tweeted a thank you to Tom. Like they found out through the Schefter report, right? Like, I think it's just something that Tom Brady wants to tell the world himself. And he hasn't gotten to do that right now. So I just, I would be absolutely floored if he returned to the Bucs.
Listen, we have seen some crazy ass things over this last 2 years with Tom Brady at the helm of Bucs quarterback. And I will tell you, as of the recording of this podcast, we do not know for certain if Tom Brady is retiring from the NFL. Our buddy Frank in the live chat, I really appreciate that he's been pumping us full of info, keeping everybody updated on what's going on, because it is not 100% confirmed. It says Tom Brady Sr. is out here telling the KRON4 News that his son is not retiring amid the online rumors. I mean, that's the closest you're going to get to Tom Brady himself, because it's Tom Brady Sr. But again,
I haven't seen or heard that though.
But it very well could be a deflection tactic, right? I mean, it makes sense. Exactly like we've said. I think everything that we have mentioned on this podcast up until this point makes sense. You know what I mean? It's reasonable to believe that Tom Brady is telling people he hasn't made up his mind because he doesn't want this to leak. But my whole point is that in the last 2 years, we have seen some crazy, just incredible, unforgettable things. We saw a 44-year-old quarterback throw as many touchdowns as his age in a single season. Like, that's pretty insane, right? He won a Super Bowl with a team he decided to play for. I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibilities that he may just come back and get everybody hyped up, but I also am leaning towards the side that says Adam Schefter is one of the most respectable journalists covering the NFL. Jeff Darlington is okay, but I don't think either of those
Darlington guys is perfect when it comes to Tom Brady.
I know. It's just my personal opinion. I'm a Schefter.
I understand that. I'm just saying Jeff Darlington Jeff Darlington knows Tom Brady better than Adam Schefter does. Jeff Darlington was the first one to say that Tom Brady was going to leave the Patriots. Everybody thought he was crazy. And then Jeff Darlington was the first one to mention the Bucs as a team for Tom Brady. So, he knows. He's plugged in. And like I said, it's fun to think about.
It is. I think it keeps the dream alive for a couple weeks longer for some people.
That would be, that would probably be the biggest swerve in not just sports news history, but possibly news history. I'm not kidding. I mean,
well, because of the magnitude of what they're reporting.
Yeah.
I mean,
they can't get this wrong. Like they can't. You cannot get that wrong. There's no way you can't get that wrong. And I have a tough time, believing that even, Adam Schefter or Jeff Darlington, I have a tough time, believing that they would put something out there if they didn't feel really good about it. Like there's no way, so I don't know. Tom Brady Sr. tells that his son is not retiring. Brady Sr. says an online publication started circulating an unsubstantiated rumor. I understand that.
Was that online publication JLC? Because it's funny, he floats a report out there. Everybody takes it with a huge grain of salt, and then the next day, all the big boys get on it, and of course, we believe it. Now we're doing a podcast. I don't know. That's just me taking a shot at JLC.
It's when Tom Brady retires. I do believe it's a deflection by Tom Brady Sr. When Tom Brady retires, nobody's going to be saying, nobody's going to be getting their pitchforks and going after Tom Brady Sr. for lying. It's a deflection. So he knows what his son is going to do. Like he knows, and he also probably knows that his son doesn't want this to be out right now. So what does he do? He goes on the radio and he deflects. Like that's what he does. Like I said, when Tom Brady retires, nobody's gonna be like, well, but his dad said no. Like nobody's gonna be thinking that.
It's like the Andrew Garfield stuff, right? It's a Photoshop.
Yeah, it's it's like I'm the wolf, guys, or whatever he said, right? Sorry, guys, spoilers, but you know what?
Come on now, if you haven't seen
the movie, it's your fault if you haven't seen the movie. So it's that's on you. So, and I understand, like we talked about this, the official TB12 account, the TB12 Sports, they deleted it. We get it, right? But there was another thing the other day. I believe it was one of Tom Brady's trainers or just somebody that works with Tom Brady. Yeah. There was a rumor he was reaching out to other quarterbacks.
Looking for work.
He had reached out to Joe Burrow. He hadn't returned, he hadn't heard back from Joe Burrow yet, but he was looking for work because he knows that Tom Brady is done. I thought it was interesting. Skip Bayless came out and said that, Monday morning, he said that his sources it's Skip Bayless, but he said his sources said that, a lot of people inside the Buccaneers organization would be surprised if Tom Brady came back. I just think all the signs are still pointing to his inevitable retirement. This report may have been premature by Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington, maybe. But I just think it's more of Tom Brady has made his decision. He just doesn't want his decision this way.
And unfortunately, in regards to a premature report like that, that's the nature of journalism these days. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of guys are going to be they want to be the first person to, put stuff like that out.
This would be possibly one of the biggest stains, I think. I love the quote, Kevin. Love the quote, Kevin. This gotta get down a t-shirt.
Right.
This would be one of the biggest stains on sports journalism, in a long time if they were to get this wrong. Which I can't. That's why I keep coming back to he's gonna retire. Like there's no way you can get something of this magnitude wrong. Yeah. Like there's no way.
Yeah. As we start to wrap things up, I think we just want to take a minute and say one more nice little thing about TB12. It's deserved, right? I go back to what we said at the start of the podcast, man. I'm just grateful. Like I'm incredibly grateful that we got 2 winning seasons from Tom Brady as our quarterback. the fact that the Buccaneers kind of took a chance on him, right? He was 42 years old when they signed him, and everybody was like, man, like, can he really win? His last playoff game, he was eliminated off of a pick six against the Titans. Like, it was embarrassing for him. Can this guy really go out there with the weapons that Tampa has? Can he produce? Well, 40 touchdowns one season, 43 the next. Guy is pretty close to winning MVP. He won Super Bowl MVP in Tampa. He won his 7th Super Bowl in Tampa, right? And it was a season that nobody thought they could get it done. I mean, obviously the hype was there, but most realistic people were like, look, he's going to need a little bit of time to get acclimated with this offense. I remember I was watching the Peyton cast earlier in the Manning cast, excuse me. Peyton's my preferred Manning brother, but I was watching the Manning cast earlier this season. It was when the Saints were playing Seattle. They had Tom Brady on that week, and Peyton kind of exposed him. He said, I remember, this time a year ago, I got a text from you. It was a couple of days leading up to week 1. And I got a text asking, hey, when you got to Denver, how did you acclimate some of your old offense into the new offense? Like, what was that process like for you? And Peyton says, the first thing that came to mind is, I don't know why you're doing this 48 hours before you play the Saints in week 1 with your brand new team. But he's the greatest of all time. Clearly, it was enough to get it done. The Buccaneers went out there, won a Super Bowl. The rest is history. But at the end of the day, what I'm most grateful for is the fact that I got to see it in person more than a few times. I saw Tom Brady lose as the Buccaneers starter. I saw him win as the Buccaneers starter. Monday Night Football against the Rams, I got to see him play. And in 2021, I got to see him play Miami. I got to see him set Buccaneers records that are probably going to be there for a very, very long time against the Carolina Panthers in Week 18. I also got to see him in the preseason, but it's preseason football. Nobody's going to remember the Tom Brady preseason game against the Bengals when we talk about the legacy of his career. But I am just incredibly grateful that at the end of the day, TB12 chose to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if this is it, thank you, 12. That's all there is to say.
David Cardona says, I don't know what makes me more sad, Brady retiring or Evan losing the King of the Wing challenge. I wholeheartedly agree. It's up for debate. Many are having this debate right now. Many people I've seen on social media are having that debate on what's sadder.
It's a shame we couldn't run it back. I mean, I guess maybe we can peel back the curtain, but maybe there was talks of a King of the Wing Part 2 at the Cannon Fire watch party. And, at the end of the day, I think we just wanted to enjoy the wings and not force everybody to sit through that again.
Oh, my God.
Because if you were there to watch the first one, not only are you a true fan of the show, but you know exactly what we're referring to.
And your tolerance for being uncomfortable is very high. I can tell you that. I
that was
can't
so
even
much
go
fun.
back and watch it.
One of my favorite live chat moments from that stream. Somebody said, like, this is the most beautifully disgusting thing I've ever seen, and it's
when we found out, because we weren't looking at the chat when we're eating them, and when we found out afterwards, you're like, oh my God. Joel Enrican says, does the team put Tom in the Ring of Honor? Yes.
Yeah, that's not even a discussion.
Yes, like it's going to happen. I just want to, sort of piggyback off of what you said. Just, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like, thank you. That February 7th, 2021 was a day. Wow.
Holy hell. Tony Montana
putting it down
for the Wendy's fun. Thank you so much. He said he is so freaking sad right now. I don't know what currency that is. 100 RUB. If somebody wants to let me know in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you a lot. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you a lot.
And of course, we get everybody in here who's been telling us the stuff that we've talked about in circles for the past hour. We know it is not official, but folks, I think Tom wants to tell you himself, and that's why.
Thank you so much, Tony. Just thank you, Tom Brady. Thank you a lot. Like I said, February 7th, 2021 is a day I will never forget, a day many Bucs fans will never forget. The moment that the clock hit 000 was just a special moment. It's not only for the Bucs winning a Super Bowl, but I could have never imagined my favorite football player ever, my favorite sports player ever. Like the person, like I've played organized sports and like I model myself after, after Tom Brady. And I never thought I would see a day where he's wearing the Buccaneers uniform,
right,
and winning a Super Bowl. It never still kind of doesn't feel real, honestly. It doesn't feel 100% real, but just thank you for 2 great years. You owe Tampa nothing. You owe Tampa absolutely nothing. You will forever be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And you will go down as one of the best Buccaneers of all time. And, you did it in 2 short years. And, like I said, don't cry because it's over, smile because it's happened. And, I think John Lydiard put out something about, like a Winnie the Pooh quote, it's something so quick that it's so good that it makes it harder to say goodbye. And, when he does inevitably, when he does inevitably announce it, that'll be tough to say goodbye. But like I said, thank you. And we are all, the entire Tampa Bay community, the entire New England community, everybody is forever grateful. Just like we said, right? Forever grateful for what you've done for not just the Bucs, not just the Patriots, but the sport of football. You are the greatest to ever do it. There will never be another player like you. And you're one of a kind. So thank you so much. And have a great life. Honestly, you've earned it.
So just around the horn one more time, really quickly. We've got about 200 people right now in our live chat. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you all so much.
We did spend a lot of time discussing this, but for the sake of repeating it one more time, for anyone who just joined us, it is important. There is a report right now from Tom Pelissero that says Tom Brady's father, agent, and team have now denied that Tom Brady has decided to retire, and his company deleted a tweet thanking him for his career. That does not mean that Brady will not retire soon. He's 44, and he acknowledged after last week's game that he will evaluate his future. We have also said that if the sports media goes on the record and is incorrect about Tom Brady's intentions of retiring, well, the face of sports journalism regarding the NFL will be changed forever, and this will be one of the largest stains on sports journalism in history. Like, it cannot be overstated how big of a deal this would be if not only they were wrong, but we were wrong, sitting here doing a podcast for 45 minutes at this point. So, I mean, one more time, Evan, what do you make of it?
Well, real quick, Brandon with a $10 super chat.
Thank you so much,
buddy.
Will
remember the last 22 years as the Tom Brady era? Definitely could. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's been the face of football. The guy who's always been there. It's, you're not going to be able to have a story about the NFL without Tom Brady. Like you're not going to be able to do it. And Canton is going to be, it already is filled with Tom Brady, but now it is going to be filled with Tom Brady stuff.
What's funny is that, unfortunately, if and when he does decide to retire, we're going to have to wait the 5 years for him to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that sucks.
But I think he's going to be the first NFL Hall of Famer with 2 busts in there. I mean, 3. They could break it up by the decades that he played, right? Like, something about the legacy of Tom Brady, the weight that he carries to the football world, just a simple bust in Canton is definitely not going to be enough.
Yeah, for sure. It's incredible what he was able to do. Have basically 3 Hall of Fame careers, but I get it, right? Like I get it. There's the important thing is while he can still retire, he just hasn't announced it yet. Yeah, like he's going to want to announce it himself. Like there is no way. I can't buy that Adam Schefter and Jeff Darlington would screw the pooch that bad. I can't picture that. I know that they've gotten stuff wrong before. I get it. But you can't get something like this wrong. So I just think this is Tom Brady trying to throw some water on the fire, and he will announce his retirement either this week, coming week, or next week. I just think that this is him trying to do a little bit of damage control, trying to calm everybody down so he can formally announce, whether it's in a video or whether it's, in an Instagram post, whatever it may be, right? So he can announce it and he can let the Bucs know. I know a lot of people are saying, well, Mike Evans, said goodbye at TV 12. Look, they're all just reading the tweets. They don't think Schefter and Darlington are wrong. Like, is it that Tom Brady told them he's retiring, or that they just saw the tweets?
Considering the report that Tom Brady has been out of the country and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers haven't even heard his decision on whether or not he's retiring, that leads me to believe that a lot of people haven't, have kind of been kept in the dark.
Yeah, I do agree with Keith here in the chat. He said Brady wanted to retire on his own terms. He probably told one person who couldn't keep their mouth shut. And I agree that may very well be the case. And I think probably is the case. I think he wanted to announce it and it just leaked. And I'm sure right now he's not too happy. But, like I said, just whatever happens is definitely grateful. Who leaked it to Schefter? You're never going to know.
Yeah.
You're never.
If we found out who leaked it to Schefter, they wouldn't be leaking anything anymore.
Yeah. And Tom says ESPN gets it wrong all the time. Not this. Like, you don't understand the magnitude of this. Like, you don't understand the This is the greatest football player of all time. This is the Michael Jordan.
Wayne Gretzky.
Like you don't understand the magnitude of getting this wrong. Is massive. So I can't picture them being wrong. Trust me, like, I hope they are wrong. Like, I don't want Tom Brady to retire. I wanted one more year. I wanted 6 more years, whatever. Like, but I can't see them being wrong here.
We do have the latest report, and this is what we'll close it out on, because this is the extent to what we know right now. And of course, if updates come out, we will keep you guys updated. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already.
Can this announcement affect MVP votes? The MVP is already voted on. That's a regular season award, so they've already voted on it. Just wanted to quick clarify that you don't know who won the MVP, but it's already been voted on.
Jeff Howe has a report that says Tom Brady himself called the Buccaneers late this afternoon to inform them that he is not even close to making a decision about his retirement. So that's what it is.
But that doesn't say Tom Brady's going to play.
Like, I know. I listen. Don't get mad.
No,
at me.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying it's it doesn't. That doesn't confirm anything. It just says that he's not close to a decision. I think he's basically made his decision. A lot of people say that. When he went on that podcast, and this is what we'll close it out with. When he went on that podcast and, said about the family and about everything like that. And a lot of people, the saying is, well, when you start thinking about retirement, that's when you're already retired. When you start thinking about retirement, you're already retired.
When you start looking past the game.
Yeah. One foot is already out the door. Both feet are going to be out sooner rather than later. And Tom Brady, we know, is a guy who goes all in, right? He's not going to do anything, he's not going to give 70% at something. If he's going to do something, he's going to give 100% at it. If he returns to the Bucs, he's going to give the Bucs 100% commitment. Like, he is going to give that. So, it's like I said, I think he has decided, and I just think that it's going to be a bit too much. So, like I said, I hope I'm wrong, but just to me, it seems like we're trending in the direction of he is retiring.
Well, I mean, hell,
you hope you're wrong too.
Yeah, like, I hope this last hour was pointless, and he comes back out, and Monday morning he tweets the Wolf of Wall Street gif. I'm not effing leaving. And then Tampa Bay explodes. Like, the city it's annihilated. It looks worse than it did after we won the Super Bowl, because Tom Brady's coming back to play one more season. I hope that's the case. And you know what? For the people in our live chat holding out that same hope, I'm here with you. Don't get me wrong. I don't want this to be the end of Tom Brady. I don't want his final touchdown pass to be an absolute fucking bomb to Mike Evans. because that's the best throw he had all season. And the fact that he is planning to walk away from football at 44 years old and potentially leaving good seasons on the table, I don't want that to be the case. I don't think a lot of people want that to be the case, but as of right now, guys, we're just telling you what we know.
Yeah. And then, Pat said he should say he's got one final year and go out being celebrated. That's what he said he doesn't want.
Yeah.
And I explained that earlier. That's why I sort of leaned in the direction of retirement. I started leaning that way around Thursday or so, because I just kept thinking. I just kept thinking about it, and I just said that, to me, he said he doesn't want a farewell tour. If he comes back, no matter what he says, he's going to get a farewell tour. So I just don't think so.
Yeah. And our buddy Harvinder says maybe it's a swerve and it's Adam Schefter and Darlington's retirement, and they're just trying to make a big deal before they take off.
Maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's just about going to do it for this week's episode of the Cannon Fire podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with us live on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast for plenty of great Buccaneers content. Of course, the podcast a few times a week as well. We will have our season review show coming up, so that should be a really fun show. Expect that one soon, sometime next week. I mean, if we hear about Tom Brady's potential retirement, that may change the entire course of the review show. But we'll try and keep it mostly talking about the 2021 season that the Buccaneers just put down. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. Follow the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. Best place to go for updates on the show and, of course, Buccaneers news as it happens. Speaking of Bucs news as it happens, you can follow my co-host Evan on Instagram at Bucs_daily, the #1 Buccaneers fan page on Instagram, rapidly approaching 30,000 followers. You can also find him on Twitter at EvanNFL. Last but not least, you can find myself, Instagram and Twitter at Rhettakus, RHETTAKUS. If you follow me, I will follow you back. We'll talk to you soon. Maybe this isn't the last we've heard of Tom Brady. I definitely don't think it will be, because the next time we hear from the man himself, he will likely be telling us whether or not he will return to the field. But I do think this is it. And for the record, I don't regret anything we've said. If we are wrong, I still don't regret anything we've said.
And if we're dealing with the information we have right now.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah. And I mean, if we are wrong, and you have listened to the podcast up until this point, well, we appreciate you that much more. We'll catch you in the next one. I'm your host, Rhett Matthew, signing off for my co-host, Evan Wanish. We'll talk to you later on this week with the season review show, and maybe, just maybe, we'll have a season movie coming out soon. We'll tell you more about that as the week goes on. We'll catch you in the next one. Until then, and as always, go Bucs.